Please be seated. The record will show the presence of the jury, the defendant, and counsel. Ms. Arias, you are still under oath. Do you understand?
Yes, I do. Thanks.
You may continue.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Ms. Arias.
Good morning.
Yesterday when we finished, we were talking, we were at a point in your life when you were about ready to move in with Matt McCartney. Do you recall?
Yes.
Before we left off. Okay. And yesterday I'd ask you if at this point in time you were boyfriend and girlfriend. And it seemed like you didn't have a definitive answer for that. Is that a label you two didn't use, or?
I don't recall when we made things official, but he wasn't seeing anyone else, and neither was I.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I don't recall when we made it official, our relationship. I mean, it definitely became that way, but I don't remember the exact date or time or circumstance, but
Okay.
we weren't seeing anybody else, just each other.
Okay. So when you moved in together, it was with the idea that this was a monogamous relationship?
Yes.
Okay. And you were working, I believe you told us you got a job at Applebee's, right?
Yes.
Okay. And was Matt working?
Yes, he was a manager at Subway.
Okay. Tell us what life was like and how was the relationship? How did he treat you?
I see that period of my life as probably one of the best times in my life. He treated me very well. He was very kind. He was very respectful. He was very spiritual. When I first met him, I was a little bit leery of some of the things he was into. I saw some books on witchcraft, and I thought, but he explained to me that he was just seeking, that he had gone to church most of his life, and he and his family are very much into the Native American culture, and so he asked his pastor about the Native Americans, and he was told they went to hell because they didn't know Jesus Christ. So that turned him off to Christianity, and he decided to explore other religions. So about the time that I met him, he was not practicing Wicca, but he was studying it, and so he had kind of explained it a little bit to me so that I wasn't so, I guess, frightened or suspicious or superstitious, maybe, of the religion. And so I never practiced it myself, but I think he did prior to us getting together. And by the time I met him, he was sort of moving on to other, like studying Eastern philosophy and Hinduism and Buddhism and that kind of thing too. Okay. So, I mean, our relationship took a lot of different spiritual turns and twists.
This might be a good point to back up a little bit in terms of, because you mentioned, and I'll use the word spirituality or religious beliefs. At the time that you met Matt, where were you spiritually? Was there a particular religion you were a member of? Could you describe that for us?
I was not a member of any denomination. I considered myself Christian. I didn't attend church, and I didn't obey all the commandments that Christianity espouses.
Okay. So when you talked about Matt and the spirituality, did you become more affiliated with his beliefs, or tell us about that?
We sort of explored together and opened up to other beliefs. We began taking meditation seminars, kind of New Age type seminars, but they have their roots in Hinduism or Buddhism. Maybe some kind of like more modern version of transcendentalism, things like that. We just took these little courses and classes, and we would drive to Portland or the Bay Area.
Okay. Was that a big part of your relationship with Matt?
Yes, it was.
This may go without saying because you lived together, but was this also a sexual relationship?
Yes.
Did you love Matt?
Very much. Yeah, I was in love with him.
And this apartment, did you both contribute to the finances of the apartment?
Yes, all of the living expenses were split 50-50.
Okay. And how long did you and Matt live in this apartment?
We lived in that small apartment for about 5 months. and then we moved to Crater Lake, Oregon.
Okay, and why did you move to Crater Lake?
The seasonal work there is in the summer. It's a very high elevation, so the snow stays till about July and comes back in October. So it's a quick season, it's a busy season. So they have staff housing there at the resort, and we got a dorm and stayed there for the season and worked there.
Did you and Matt live together when you were in this
Yes.
dorm, as you describe it? Okay.
Yes.
And this point in time, then, you're probably several months in your relationship, right?
Yes. At this point, 6 months, I'd say.
I know that probably it's hard to quantify, but was this a serious relationship at this point in time?
Yes, we weren't like heavily discussing marriage, but we were talking about children and what kind of lifestyle we would have if we decided to have a family.
So was marriage on the table, so to speak?
Yeah, it was a future possibility.
Okay. How long in total, in terms of your relationship, were you together with Matt?
I think approximately 1 year and 8 months.
Okay. In that year and 8 months, did he ever hit you?
No,
Did he ever call you a whore?
no,
A slut?
no,
Three-hole wonder?
no.
What brought the end of your relationship with Matt McCartney?
Well, after the first season at Crater Lake, we came back, and ironically, the same exact apartment opened up again, so we rented the same place where we lived prior to that. We stayed there for some months, and we began to sort of argue over little things. It wasn't anything serious, but it wore on our relationship because it just made things not so enjoyable. So we decided to take a breather from each other. Well, not from each other, but just from our living together. So he went back to Crater Lake for a season, and this time I did not go. I moved to Ashland, which is about 15 minutes south of Medford. It's in Oregon also.
And let me ask you, before you go any further, these arguments that you spoke, you would have little arguments or things would get uncomfortable. Describe what you mean by little arguments, because that can mean a lot of different things to different people. Was there screaming? Was there throwing things?
No, nothing like that. It was more like nagging, like he would leave his clothes everywhere, and I would be like, you know, and what else? Sometimes I would leave a dish somewhere in the living room if we were eating, and so it was kind of like more about housekeeping and that sort of thing, just, you know, living together
Okay.
and those
The
dynamics.
fights themselves didn't get volatile from what you're telling
No,
us, right?
they weren't.
Okay. Now you're talking about this period in time, you're starting to have some discord in your relationship. Tell us how that discord leads to the end of the relationship.
Well, we decided to spend a little time apart. We saw each other on our weekends. He would come into town in Ashland and stay with me. And I remember I was with his dad's girlfriend, and she was trying to, I felt sort of like we were distancing, but I was hanging out with, I can't remember her name, but his dad's girlfriend at the time. And we were trying to download pictures onto his dad's hard drive. And on the desktop, there were some other pictures of this girl. And I didn't recognize her, but I recognized the setting, and it was inside the lodge at Crater Lake. And so the date was also current with this season, which would have been 2001. But it was just labeled with, I guess, an initial, the letter B. So I didn't know who she was, but I wasn't overly concerned about it. But, you know, I just kind of had a feeling. And so I let that go, and a few weeks later, I was working at Applebee's. And I was walking past the table, and two people said, "Hi, Jodi," and I stopped, and I didn't recognize them, and they explained that they worked with Matt at Crater Lake, and they were just in town for their days off. And I just said hi, and, you know, checked on them later as they were about to leave, and they said we took a vote and think we should know something, and they told me that he was seeing a girl named Bianca at Crater Lake. And so that explained the initial B on that photo. And I kind of said, well, does she have dark hair? And he said, yes. And so I figured it was her.
Let me ask you this, what did you do when you had this information?
I was reeling because, I mean, of all the boyfriends I had, I would have expected him to not be the one that cheated on me. He was very loyal. I trusted him completely, like implicitly. He could have said the sky is falling and I would have believed him. I think I would have just looked out the window to see what it looks like. But I asked my boss if I could go home a little early, and he said that was fine. So I think I was let go. It was slow. I was let go around 7.
And just so we're clear, you were living with Matt at the time?
No, he was living at Crater Lake, and I was living in Ashland.
Okay.
So I went home. I changed my clothes, and I decided to. At this time, this night, Matt was in Borrego Springs, California, looking for
How
more.
far was that from where you were?
Very far. It's almost by the border, and Ashland is up by the other California border, the northern border.
Okay. So, did you call Matt?
No, neither of us had cell phones at